Hi, I am Diana Mendel, and I want to share something a client told me last year that I genuinely have not stopped thinking about. She was sharp, successful, the kind of person who made careful, considered decisions in almost every area of her life. And one day, almost as a throwaway comment, she said something that completely reframed the way I think about this whole conversation around dating apps and professional matchmaking. She told me she had spent 3 months doing due diligence on a single vendor contract, not 3 months of casual glancing at paperwork, 3 months of serious, structured review. She had also spent weeks, plural, carefully evaluating a single hire for her team. Background checks, multiple interview rounds, reference calls, the whole process, because the decision mattered and she treated it accordingly. And then she said this. She had handed her entire romantic future to a free app and spent 2 years wondering why the results felt random and exhausting and like nothing was ever quite working. She was not bad at dating. She was not unlucky. She was simply applying a completely different standard to her personal life than she applied to literally everything else that mattered to her. And the moment she said it out loud, she could not unsee it. Neither could I. That is the real conversation when we talk about dating apps versus professional matchmaking. It is not about which one sounds more romantic. It is not about whether swiping feels modern or whether hiring a matchmaker feels old-fashioned or indulgent. It is about a much simpler question. Does the tool you are using actually fit what you are trying to build? And I think a lot of people have never honestly asked themselves that question. Dating apps are genuinely useful tools. I want to be clear about that. They are built for volume and speed. They give you access to a large pool of people in a short amount of time. And for certain people in certain seasons of life, that is exactly what they need. If you're newly single and want to get back out there and meet a wide variety of people without a huge upfront commitment, apps can work well for that. The format fits the goal. But here's where it starts to break down for a lot of people. Apps reward consistent daily engagement. They are designed to keep you in the loop, managing conversations, refreshing matches, responding quickly, staying visible. For someone with real demands on their time, that becomes a part-time job they never signed up for. The emotional overhead is real. The dead ends accumulate. And after months or years of that cycle, many people start to feel like something is wrong with them, when really the issue is just a mismatch between the tool and the life they are actually living. If you are time poor, if you are serious about wanting a real relationship and not just activity, and if you have been in that loop long enough to know it is not producing results, that is not a reason to feel discouraged. That is useful information. It is data, and it is telling you something important, which is that the tool no longer fits the job. Professional matchmaking is a completely different model. It is slower to start. It requires a real financial investment. And for some people, the cost alone makes it feel out of reach before they've even looked at what it actually includes. I understand that reaction, but I think it is worth sitting with the comparison, honestly. When you work with a matchmaker, you are not paying for guaranteed love. No one can promise you that. What you are paying for is having someone else handle the searching, the screening, the filtering, and the logistics so that you only show up for the part that actually matters, which is the real conversation with a real person who has already been vetted against what you are looking for. Your time is protected. Your energy is directed. The process has structure. For someone who would spend months evaluating a vendor contract, That is not an extravagant use of resources. It is actually consistent with how they approach every other important decision in their life. Now, I am not telling you that matchmaking is the right answer for everyone. It is not. And I'm not telling you that apps are broken or that you should delete them tomorrow. What I am saying is that it is worth being honest with yourself about what you have been doing, how long you have been doing it, and whether it is actually working, not theoretically, not in the abstract, in your actual life right now. Because when you would give months of careful attention to a business decision and weeks to a hiring decision, your romantic life deserves at least the same level of intentionality. That is not a high bar. That is just treating something important like it is important. So I am genuinely curious where people land on this.